Alright guys, welcome back to another one. This is an idea that I've had kicking around in my head for about a month now. What's the biggest pellet you can fit in a 10 gauge? And just by chance, I had a couple people leave me a comment here on YouTube, and a guy messaging me on Facebook, and they're loading 40 caliber round balls. They're Hornady round balls for muzzle loaders in the 10 gauge, but I did have one guy tell me that the 40 caliber round balls did actually dimple these holes out just a little bit whenever he went to crimp them. So I got to thinking and doing some little bit of research. I actually asked on Facebook in the Buck and Slugger Loaders group what everyone's opinion on a perfect size mold for large pellets in the 10 gauge, and it seemed to be that the 395 caliber round ball would be the way to go, and that was the way to go. I actually had a viewer of the channel reach out and ask me if there's anything that me and Josh could use for the channel. I had another person ask too, and he sent me and Josh a modified choke for the Mossberg 835. So we haven't used it in the video yet, but we will soon. So thank you for that. We really appreciated that. Having just the 680 for that 835 was kind of a hindrance, even though it was great with turkey loads and buckshot. We couldn't really shoot any large pellets out of it or steel shot safely, so having the modified choke was a huge benefit to that gun. So again, thank you very much. And to the guy that sent us this also, thank you very much. This was a perfect timing. This is awesome. Again, that is a 395 caliber Lee mold 2 cavity. Well, you can't really see it. There you go. 2 cavity, but these are big pellets and only takes 10 to make a 2, and it's right at 2 1/8 ounces with buffer load. So, 10 pellets only takes 30 seconds to mold up. Anyway, this was sent by Gary Caskey. Gary has sent me a few things over the last few months, notably wad tampers. This one he actually sent with this. I have 2 others he sent me, and he has sent me a, you guys have seen this, a wad slitter. Now, Gary, this is awesome. He asked me, he messaged me and asked me what my favorite color was, and I didn't really want to ask him why, because I wanted to be surprised, and this was definitely a surprise. It's stained red, coated in polyurethane. It's flat too. It's not a spray-on poly. It's a good flat finish. It is very reflective. Really pretty wood grain. I don't know if you guys are into guitars or anything. Well, not just guitars, but it looks like flamed maple. See these lines that run across it this way? The darker lines? That reminds me a lot of flamed maple. And I'm really big into Les Pauls and stuff. And that just reminds me of a wine red Les Paul. So, huge thanks to Gary for sending me this. It holds 25 rounds up to 10 gauge. Now, obviously, he's made this for 12 gauge, but it fits 10 gauge too, just fine. Now, your Remington hulls, this is a, what I'm loading up here, this is one of them, but with a fold crimp. The Remington hulls have a slightly bigger rim on them, and they fit, but it's a little bit tight. You have to kind of, that was a bad example, but they fit, but you have to kind of wiggle it in. Let me see if one of these other holes is a little bit looser. That one's actually tighter. Anyway, you guys see that right there. Remington hull doesn't really want to fit, but the Federal fits fine. The Winchesters fit fine too. The Shadats also fit fine. Man, that one's really stuck in there. Anyway, thanks Gary for sending me this. If you guys want one of these or any other tools he makes obviously wad tampers, wad slitters, wad trimmers, and hull trimmers. Probably some other stuff. I will leave Gary's info down in the description. let's get to loading one of these up right here. We're going to start out with, well, we're going to start out by mentioning this was a once fired Federal slug haul. This was a turkey load, and this was a steel shot load from the 90s. Now, these two had roll crimps on them, and I've done the curling iron trick to remove the crimp memory. These are basically just about like brand new hauls now. I'll show you here. They have no give where the original crimp memory was. You can roll crimp these now, which is what we're about to do. I'll include a clip of how I, made them the way they are now. I'll include that right here, so enjoy that, guys. Here's a once fired Federal slug haul. You guys can see the roll crimp on it. I have a little trick here that lets you get these almost back to brand new hauls. And yep, you can even do this with star crimp or fold crimp hauls. They look almost good as new hauls. All you need is a tapered curling iron. Put your haul right over it, all the way down to the bottom. I have this on right between 5 and 10 with the heat setting. You just want to set that on there for, I don't know, maybe 15 seconds. I think you can already see what it's doing here, smoothing it right back out. Now, if you get the heat too high, it will melt the plastic. You guys can see there's no more creases left in the plastic. Now, what you want to do here is just turn on your cold water and let the water run just over the plastic and the curling iron right in the center of it. Don't angle it back too far this way or that way, because then you'll... These have paper base wads. You don't want to get that wet. You also don't want to get the heating element wet in your curling iron. So, here's what you do. Dry it off a little bit. Essentially, a brand new hull again. And it is not pliable either. You can squeeze this. You guys can see it has absolutely no give to it. Where the crimp memory was. Nothing. Now, let's load one of these up here. We'll start with the light load. Now, for me, 2 ounces is pretty light for a 10 gauge when it goes all the way up to 3 ounces. But, 2 ounces is the standard weight for 10 gauge. Using a 24 gauge hull as my powder funnel here. Just using it to weigh out the powder. We need 35 grains. And that's not as high as you can take it. That was 37. Again, this is a roughly 2 1/8 ounce load. 41 grains is the max charge for a 2 ounce load. Actually, it's 41.5. But this is a 2 1/8. I'm dropping it down to 35 because we're using buffer and all this other good stuff too. The max charge for this one would probably be 38 grains, but don't hold me to that. I know 35 grains works because we fired plenty of roughly 2 1/8 ounce loads with 35 grains of long shot. So, there we go. Next component you need is the X10X from Ballistic Products. I know the lighting is not going to play along here. Sure ain't. But we have the X10X from Ballistic Products. Where's that temper? Right here. Get that seated. Now we need a 3/8 inch fiber cushion wad. The full 1/2 inch is too much. You don't get a very nice roll crimp on it, but the 1/4 inch is a little bit too little. Trimmed about 1/8 inch off that. Get that seated down in there. Now we need, oh, by the way, you can add Mylar wrap to this if you want to, but I'm leaving it out because the fold crimped hulls right here, I have Mylar wrap in them. And I'm just wanting to see how those compare to a roll crimped load without the Mylar. Just because, why not? You guys stick around long enough, and we'll get to pattern these loads in, well, I don't really know when, but soon. 10 pellets. I should tell you what the lead payload weight is, and then with buffer. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Actually, you guys, you know what? I misspoke. You can actually use that entire 1/2 inch. So that's what I'm going to do here. My bad. I was thinking if you wanted to fold crimp this. Get these 10 pellets back in here. Now we're back in business. It looks like you may still be able to fold crimp this if you wanted to. Yeah. Man, I was way off. You need probably 5/8 inch fiber cushion wad in this load. I know what it was. I loaded one of these up with a fold crimp in a Winchester haul. It wasn't this one. Winchester haul earlier, and I was thinking Winchester, but no, that's a Federal. There we go. That's the right height. Total payload weight is, let's see, it's 2.07. So the lead payload weight is 2.07. Get back in there. There we go. Now with buffer, it's going to be right at 2 1/8 ounces. And yes, you can use 2 1/4 ounce theta for this. It's going to get you a fuzz less pressure and a fuzz more velocity than the 2 1/4 ounce data will get you, because you're shooting a slightly lighter payload. Let's see, a little bit more. There we go. Top roll of pellets is covered about halfway. Trying to show you, lighting is my worst enemy. I think you guys can make it out. Now the total payload weight is 2.14, which is, that's slightly, just a hair over 2 1/8. But it's good to go. Set that one right there. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We're going to use this Federal haul from the 90s. It was steel shot. It doesn't say, or it's faded off, the payload weight, but it was F-shot. Ooh, let's do the 2 1/2 ounce load with blue dot here. Now, the data for a 2 1/2 ounce load with blue dot published by Ballistic Products calls for 40 grains, but since we're using buffer in this load, and that is going to add a little bit of weight, it's 2.57, I believe, is the total payload weight on this one here. We're using 38 grains of blue dot just to make up for the slightly heavier payload weight. So, where's my 24 gauge hole? Right there. Again, 38 grains. You probably could do 39, but I just stick to 38. It's going to be about 1125 to 1150 FPS with my H&R single shot with the 36-inch barrel. This is probably an 1150 FPS load. With my 28-inch barrel, it's probably around 1100. Now, there is 2 1/2 ounce data for Alliance Steel too, but the two loads that I have are running 935 FPS and 1070 FPS. Blue dot is the way to go with this load right here. You know, for your common powders. Little gun can go up to 3 ounces at 1200 FPS, but we're just loading 2 1/2 ounces right now. We might do a 3 ounce load here, maybe. 38 grains of blue dot, X10X. Really want to get that gas seal on top of that powder. We're going to use the, I think this one was the one that needed the 3/8 inch fiber cushion wad. We'll know in a second, won't we? It had to have been the Blue Dot because it takes up so much room. 3/8 inch fiber cushion wad. This one needs 12 pellets of the 395 cal buckshot. 6. Get that a. There we go. 8, 10, and 12. And yep, that one was the one that needed the 3/8 inch fiber cushion wad. Right to where it needs to be. You could actually get away with fold crimping that one too. One of the pellets keeps wanting to ride up. There we go, I fixed it. They were just a little bit out of order there. Total lead payload weight on this one here is, I keep forgetting to weigh the hull first on the scale. It should be exactly 2.5 ounces. There's 8. Make sure those are going in there. Nope, that was not my bad. There's all 12. Total lead payload weight is 2.49 ounces. With buffer, we're looking at by now it's at 2.54. Let's see what we have. 2.57. Actually, I could use a touch more on this side. Now what are we at here? 2.58. So this is a 2.58 ounce load for the Blue Dot. We got one more here with little gun, then I might do a 3 ounce load. I have not loaded one of those up with this yet. This size buckshot. Alright. Little gun. We need 46 grains of it. There's 49, slightly overshot it. 47 grains also works, but I haven't fired one of these yet. And the guy that I get my data from for a little gun and 10 gauge shoots, he told me to start at 46 and 47 grains and work my way up. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here. There's 46 grains of little gun. I use 45 grains for a 3 ounce load. That is the max charge. X10X. And this one is probably going to need the whole 1/2 inch fiber cushion wad. Alright. Didn't forget this time. Well, we already know what the total lead payload weight is here. And I guess we already know what the total payload weight is too. Yep. There's 2.5 ounces. 2.49. A little bit more. Again, 2.57. Alright guys, we have them put together. Now we just need to roll crimp them. What I'm going to use is just a bingo chip, 3/4 inch bingo chip. Might throw 2 of them on there, but yeah, this one here looks like it could use 2. That one could use 1. I'm going to put 2 bingo chips in these 2 and 1 in the little gun load. 1 second. Using 2 blue bingo chips this time because we have a little bit more room in the hole. That one's not going to go in there, right? 2 bingo chips also helps them not crack. A little bit more on this side. Alright, that one looks pretty good. And this one is the Blue Dot load. 2 more bingo chips. A little bit more on this side. There's no telling how many times these old 90s saws have been fired. So I tried the 3-ounce load, the 14 pellet load of this 395 cal, and the pellets almost come right up to the top of the hull, even with a 1/8 inch fiber cushion, which is just barely enough for the load. So it's a no-go with a 3-ounce load, but I'd imagine in a Remington hull it would work just fine because they're slightly longer than a Federal. When I tried to roll it, it cracked the bingo chip, and the roll was too shallow to stay closed. So unfortunately that one's a no-go, but like I said, stay tuned to me and Josh. We get these patterned. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. Here's what that 3-ounce load looked like. Now, can you shoot this? Yeah, you can totally shoot it, but I'm not really a fan of how shallow that roll is, and obviously it cracked the bingo chip. But I figured I'd show you guys anyway. You can see that's a gap in it right there. But yeah, just figured I'd show you. But again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.